The opening shot of Chainsaw Man shows a door, and do you know why? Because doors might be the most important bit of symbolism in the entirety of Chainsaw Man, so if you want to know why, then keep watching this video. If you find yourself entertained at any point during the video, then consider liking, subscribing and ringing that bell, as I cannot explain to you how much just small action can do for this channel. If you want to support this channel even further, then perhaps check out my Patreon. Anyway, on with the video. Doors can be found across Chainsaw Man, such as the door in Denji's mind, the doors that make up the ceiling of hell, the door that leads to the death of power, and the door that reveals Aki's fate as the gun fiend. And that is because doors represent both the ideas of knowledge and ignorance, or more specifically, doors are the barrier between the two. Shut doors represent ignorance, a lack of knowledge, and so once they are opened, knowledge is released and ignorance can never be regained. Doors specifically though are so brilliant in this metaphor, as they have to be opened. You have to make a conscious choice to open one. In our analogy then, you, the ignorant person, have to choose to open the door, you have to choose to become knowledgeable. Vegeta tells him so many times not to open the door in his mind, as when he does, he remembers that he cruelly murdered his own father. He learns something he will never be able to forget. Once that door was opened, it can never be shut again. The same is true when he is told not to open the apartment door by Vegeta, as once he opens it he is confronted with the cruel reality his friend is dead and has become the gun fiend. And of course it is also true when he opens the door to power, and she ends up dead. And remember, Denji chose to open all these doors himself, he chose to become knowledgeable. Of course he was definitely coerced by Makima and the control she represents, something I explore in this video here. But something very clear across the series is that knowledge and ignorance are things one must choose. You choose to remain ignorant like Quan Chi, or you choose to attain knowledge like Santa Claus. So although we will go back to some door symbolism a bit later on, especially with all those hell doors which may or may not be symbolically tied to the Darkness Devil, for now I want to move on to something first brought up by everybody's favourite bomb girl, Reze. Would you rather be a country mouse or a town mouse? Would you rather live in peace, with little in the ways of excitement? Or would you rather live a life of danger but with all manner of thrills in exchange? So to put it another way, would you rather live blissfully in ignorance or be knowledgeable of the true horrors of the world? Although this theme is present all over part 1, I think it is brought to the forefront most in the International Assassins arc, with the two sides of this argument being represented by two of the main antagonists of the arc. Quan Chi, who chooses to live in ignorance and be content with her happy enough life, and Santa Claus, who pursues greater and greater power through knowledge. Quan Chi was the first devil hunter, or maybe you could say the first hunter who is also a devil. She says many times in the arc that she likes to be ignorant because it makes life easier. She isn't out to become all powerful or uncover the truth of the world, she just wants to live her life the way she always has. She understands the danger of too much power and so actively avoids it. It's like how she gets annoyed at Pinksy for telling her about fish when they're eating. She says it ruined her meal. She couldn't enjoy it because she knew too much, which is a metaphor for her life too. If she knows too much, she cannot enjoy it. Quite brilliantly is that her four fiends represent this conflict. Pinksy and Cosmo represent a thirst for knowledge. Pinksy seems to be the introspection fiend, or something similar, and she is always looking into things, always delving deeper. And Cosmo, as shown at the end of the arc, is one who knows everything, she has ultimate knowledge. Long and Sugahaki on the other hand represent ignorance. Sugahaki literally can't speak, her mouth sewn shut, and so unlike Pinksy cannot relay new information, she is unable to impart knowledge on anyone, and this is the same for Long, to a lesser extent, who is a quiet fiend acting more than talking. This then represents Quan Chi, someone who tries to stay ignorant but keeps knowledge close by as she understands its power. Santa Claus on the other hand is always thinking one step ahead. Every other assassin was after Denji's heart, but she only wanted it as one step in her bigger plan. She thinks bigger than others as she's always trying to be bigger, better, more powerful. We as the reader were left ignorant. We thought the arc was about killing Denji. After all, it's the Assassin's arc. But we were thinking too small scale. Santa Claus made a deal with the Darkness Devil and gained some of its power. With knowledge comes power. But the thing about knowledge is that it is literally endless. Santa Claus always hungered for more and so could never have her thirst quenched, and this is why she was beaten. Cosmo is the cosmos fiend, the fear of the cosmos, of space and the vast unendingness of it. It cannot be comprehended. Santa Claus got her wish, she learnt everything thanks to Cosmo, but all knowledge is too much knowledge. Santa Claus then represents the idea of knowledge taken to a logical extreme. She shows that too much leads to defeat and despair. That much like the concept of the hedonic treadmill, a very core part of the series, you can never attain all the knowledge you desire. You just grasp for more and more, never satisfied. And if by some possibility you do attain it, all you are left with is just saying Halloween. But then on the flip side, if Cosmo represents all knowledge, then what about all ignorance? Is there a fear of that? Well, you could say something close is the fear of the unknown. I mean, we don't fear the dark, we fear what might be in it. The Darkness Devil is a proxy unknown devil, and well, how do the main cast come to confront this devil? How do they lose their ignorance of it and gain knowledge of utter terror? Through a door. The reason hell is just endless doors is because hell is a place where mankind's fears dwell. We only fear things because we have knowledge of them. As soon as someone learns of something and they learn to fear it, the door is open. A devil is born representing that fear, representing man's knowledge of it. Devils never truly die, as we can never become ignorant of something once we fear it once. Fear never goes away. Hell equals doors then, because doors equal our knowledge of everything and why we fear each and everything we know of. The Darkness Devil, being the fear of the unknown, is the ultimate depiction of this idea. It is a door to fears we have yet to experience, fears that once we learn of them, we will never be able to be ignorant of again, which is why this devil has such a lasting effect. Power is traumatized, Angel and Aki lost arms. They can never go back to how they were before encountering this devil. The door has already been opened and they can never go back, much like how you can never go back to ignorance once knowledge has descended. This arc then is so perfectly placed in the story because it is right before the reveal that Makima is the control devil, and that everything we thought we knew was just a game being played by even higher powers. I mean, the door to hell, the door to the knowledge of the true horrors we are all ignorant to, is the reason we discover Makima is evil. The cast learning about hell and the true horror of actually powerful devils is the perfect segue into the next arc, as they now know about and fear strong devils. This knowledge can never be gotten rid of, so the cast is now unable to remain ignorant of Makima's true existence. That door cannot ever be shut again. In the arc, Quan Chi tells Kishibe to just stay as a dog to the government, to keep playing out their game as it is easier for him. It will make him happier to think he is making a difference than to pull back the truth. When Denji is killing the dolls, former humans, it is said that it is easier to do if you don't think about them being humans, just more devils to kill, something later expands on when Denji thinks of Aki as just another devil and kills him. Ignorance makes things easier. It's why the expression is ignorance is bliss, because you live happier not knowing about the terrible truth. Knowledge brings power, but also reveals the dark truths you'd rather not know. This arc then makes us question whether it's right to be happy and ignorant, or to become knowledgeable and expose the truth even at the cost of finding something truly horrific. And well, the story suggests that ignorance is the correct choice. It was knowledge that ended Santa Claus. If she remained ignorant, she may have won. Kishibe puts on a blindfold as to not witness Quan Chi's death. He chose to play Makima's game and be ignorant. And lastly, Denji, after wondering if he would have felt bad about killing the assassins if he knew them better, decides being ignorant is better, as he doesn't need to think about complicated things like that and feel all these weird emotions. And that is what Makima takes advantage of. You could also point out how Chainsaw Man quite literally delivers ignorance. He erases devils and their concepts from existence and from people's memories. And this is why he is the devil devils fear the most. Because as already said, knowledge brings power. It is the fears people feel for them that make devils strong. It is knowledge that empowers them. The more people that know about blood, the more people that fear it, the stronger power becomes. A devil's power is directly tied to knowledge. And so a devil that bestows ignorance and erases knowledge is terrifying to devils, as it literally takes away their very being and everything that makes them what they are. And so now we come to address how this idea of knowledge versus ignorance factors into Denji, the protagonist of our story. Well, Denji is a character who starts the story in ignorance. He is ignorant of how bad his life is, ignorant of simple pleasures to the point his dream is to eat toast with jam. However, through Makima and his new job as a devil hunter, he experiences new thing after new thing. The doors open to him and he is flooded with knowledge, all until he goes too far. He went from a country mouse to a town mouse and paid the price. Sure, his life was happier, but it came at a cost. He opened one too many doors and killed Aki. He opened two too many doors and power died too. He opened three too many doors and learnt he was a bad guy who killed his own dad. He learnt too much, he was ruined by too much knowledge, and so he chose to be ignorant again. He submitted to Makima as her dog, let her decide everything for him so he could stop himself from ever learning anything else. He puts his life in her control so he'd never attain any more knowledge again. He wanted to go back to being ignorant, so gave himself up fully to Makima. However, as we already made clear, you can't go back to being ignorant, and so he has no choice but to fight despite what he knows. No to fight because of it. Too much ignorance is bad, as is too much knowledge. There is a balance that must be met. Too much knowledge leads to you going brain dead and only saying Halloween. Too much ignorance and you become a mindless dog. Like with everything, there is a middle ground. The key in life is to be happy, so all you need to do is find a balance of ignorance and knowledge that lets you be happy, and that's what Denji finds. He lives a happy life making choices for himself, but not bothering with stuff above his pay grade. He doesn't need to know about the government and their schemes, or the horsemen and their schemes, to be happy, so he doesn't dig any deeper. It is ignorance is bliss to an extent, but not to the point you lose sense of yourself and the real world. He just does what he needs to be happy, and leaves it at that. Though how this will change over the rest of the story, we will have to wait and see. And sadly for Denji, he may have to learn some more unsavoury truths he'd rather not have knowledge of. As the story goes on, much like how in part 1 we came to understand that the Gun Devil, the world's boogeyman, was just another scheme by the world's governments to maintain control and turn a profit. But that's the topic of the next Chainsaw Man video on this channel, where we will explore the Gun Devil and how it symbolises the government and their control through fear. Comment of the week comes from X, and I'm glad you're also a fan of this manga, because I honestly wasn't sure if anyone subscribed had actually read it before. And if you want to go the extra mile in supporting this channel, then consider pledging to my Patreon, where for as little as £2.75 a month, you can get your name at the end of the video, like Hikari Desu, 7SO, Ringjack9696, Dewey, and General Tonyos. So with all that said and done, I've been Seth the Sin, the Deadly Sin of Geek, and I'm signing out. Stay safe, everyone.